Hey guys, how's it going? It's me, Albert, with everybody's favorite mother. How you doing?
Good, thank you.
I know everybody has been missing you, especially Hilda DC and all of our other fans out there. And guys, here's our long-awaited video. This is a video we've been talking about, and we're excited to be here. We are going to be talking about something that we have recently started struggling with. Kind of, sort of, well, I guess we've always struggled with it, but there's more circumstances recently that may even make us struggle with it even more, is what to do when you're waiting for God to come through, or you're just in general, just being patient. So do you have any kind of things you like to talk about with patience?
Well, waiting is about patience.
Yeah.
When you're waiting, that's what's like, just be content in waiting.
Right.
When you can't see something, or you can, or
right.
When you don't, just keep waiting.
Well,
be patient, content.
When we look in the Webster's dictionary, this says that it defines the word patiently as in a patient manner, with calmness or without complaint or hurry, in spite of delays, difficulties, tedium, and etc. So a lot of times whenever we are going through a struggle, and we're going through a hard time, we're wishing it would hurry up, or we're wishing we would get an answer or know what in the world why we're going through what it is, we tend to be impatient. And it describes patiently as, being calm in spite of delays, difficulties, and those are the things, especially in my life, that I struggle with that makes me very impatient, which is delays, like traffic, or having to be in line for an hour at Walmart. And what do you find yourself? Do you find yourself that you have a lot of patience or not?
That's a work in progress, I find that.
Yeah, well, I think that is for everybody. No matter who you are, everybody can say that they are working on their patience.
I think that I'm a little bit more patient than what I used to be, but that's because that comes with experience. I mean, as the more you walk with the Lord and the closer you get, the more things He allows you to go through, then you learn.
Exactly.
To walk through and be more patient.
Sometimes He puts you through situations that you wonder, and then you get through those situations, and you're like, okay, now I see what you're doing, and now... Yeah. Sometimes those situations make it better, sometimes it makes it worse. I guess it depends on how you look at it. We look here, and we're going to be using a site from Joyce Meyer. We both love Joyce Meyer. I've listened to her since I was little, and she's listened to her for years. And so we're just going to be using her. We're not going to do it verbatim because that would, it's cheating. But she had a lot of great points on here that I would like to bring to people that I could relate to. And I figured we could all maybe relate to this in some way. Or if you know someone who can relate to it, make sure you send the video to them. And she says, have you ever been praying about a situation in your life and found yourself waiting for the breakthrough? Have you ever done that?
Yes.
And
yes.
Are you wondering?
Like right now, I'm going to tell y'all right now, I'm doing that.
Going through, that's what I said here recently, stuff has been brought
That's
to
why we're doing this one, because we can relate to it.
I had a totally different video. I have 4 pages in my notes on my iPad of a video we were going to do.
And it just changed overnight.
And then it just changed this morning. We were talking about it, and I said, okay. So anyway, when I started doing research, Joyce Myers is the first one that popped up, and I love her, so I went ahead and clicked on it, and I liked it a lot, so that's why I'm bringing it to you. So I'll leave a link to this exact paper or website, whatever you want to call it, in the description below. Sometimes when we pray long and hard about a situation in our life without receiving any answers, we just learn to live with it. We cope, we get on, we just accept it for what it is. And are there situations in your life to where you've had to do that?
Yes. Just about every time, because He wants you to have patience.
Right.
It's impossible to please Him without faith or patience. He wants us to do that. That's a character of Christ He's putting in us. Yes.
Exactly.
Yes.
And sometimes, unfortunately, those are the ones that make you feel like makes you mad more. I don't know if that's the word,
but it does.
Because you just have to accept it.
Yeah, you do get upset a lot of times because you know God's in control, and you're like, "Why aren't you doing something? Why aren't you doing something? Why don't you do something? Let me see something. Give me encouragement." And He's like, "Just wait. Just wait. Just wait.
It'll all come in due time."
Yeah.
Now, like I've said in other videos on my channel from a while back, last year sometime, I've been through a lot of things that have taught me about patience, and I think that one of the biggest reasons that there are people in the world who are unbelievers of Christ and Christians is because they either don't have patience with it or they don't have faith. Well, I guess that's kind of correlate with each other. They don't have faith. Like they can't they don't have anything that's a picture or right there in front of them talking to them.
Tangible manifestation.
That's something they can touch. Exactly.
Faith ain't like that.
So that is literally the entire premise of the Christianity. Faith is faith. And so therefore, if you have a hard time believing or having a hard time in any kind of faith, some people, that's what I would honestly say, that's why 99 to 100%
It's very
of them
difficult.
is because if you don't have something to touch, you know, then they're like, well, that can't be real.
And
So-
human nature, we're used to that. We want
Yeah.
today, right now.
Yeah.
We want something to see. Well, you know. And,
Even more and more so
Yeah.
as days go by.
Yeah.
Now, she says on her site that there are two ways to wait. It says all of us will wait passively or will wait expectantly. A passive person hopes something good will happen and is willing to sit around to wait to see if it does. That's the kind of person I wish I could be. That seems like more of an optimistic person. Or like, okay, I trust you, Lord. It's going to be all right. It's going to be good, so let's just wait here and see.
Yeah.
I'm not like that. I wish I could be. I don't know if I know anybody that's like that. But no, I would rather, it just goes back to patience. Like, I don't have the patience to just be so optimistic.
And it doesn't matter if you don't have the patience because he's going to do it in his perfect timing anyway. So we're better off if we do have patience so we're not miserable while we're waiting for it to
Exactly
come to
right.
pass.
You have to have the patience or you
Yeah.
will be married. It'll drive you absolutely
Yeah,
up the
it
wall.
will.
It says the expectant person, on the other hand, is hopeful, believing the answer is just around the corner,
Yeah.
due to arrive any minute. Their belief is not a passive thing. Their heart is full of hope, expecting their problem to be solved at any moment. They wake up every morning expecting to find the answer. They may wait and wait, but suddenly what he's been waiting for happens. I've had that happen several times in my life. I think this is really what a lot of people experience with people who I know that have had or went through situations and prayed for them, and then it just finally happened. I think that happens to a lot of them. And then there's still a lot of people where nothing happens. They're still waiting. Now we'll continue to read is when we expect it to happen. She said it's just like when a woman is pregnant. It's said that she is expecting a baby. She carries it inside her, the promise of a baby, and even though she can't see it, she knows it's there. Yeah. When we were talking earlier about people who didn't have faith, I was talking, if you ever watched the movie The First Santa Claus with Tim Allen, he says something in it that can relate to a lot of people. It's a small little line. If you blink, you'll miss it. But he said, he was asking Charlie if he believed in Santa Claus, and he said, something or another, if you see it, you can believe it. He said, well, Charlie looked at him and said, well, have you ever seen $1 million? He said, well, no. He says, well, just because you don't see it don't mean it's not there.
Right.
So I remember hearing that line when I was little. It's a line that can relate to so many people in so many different ways. We're talking about the pregnant lady. She actively prepares for the arrival of the baby because she knows that the promise will be fulfilled. She knows she's going to have a baby as long as it's healthy and, Lord willing, everything goes good. She expects it and she'll wait as long as it takes. We know the word wait means to expect or to look for. But remember, it also means to serve. Just like a waiter waits on your table at a restaurant. Our act of waiting isn't supposed to be spent sitting around passively hoping that something will happen sometime soon. So I guess instead of just sitting around like a knot on a log, you should be up and be thinking.
That's your faith.
Yeah.
See, God has taught me this. I'm going to say this real quick. This isn't in it, but I'm just going to tell y'all what God's taught me, my personal life. You heard of faith without works. You have to have works with faith. And that's what God's talking about. You have to act upon it, even when you don't see it.
Right.
And believe it. Like, if you think you're going to have a baby and you're not even pregnant yet, you actually believe that that's going to happen. Well, you go out and you start buying things and you start praising God for that baby. That's your action with your faith. You have to have the action. That's your works. Works without faith is dead.
Exactly.
Your works is always believing. And that hope is what causes you to believe. You've got to have hope. Not saying that many, many times you will have hope for something to happen and it does not happen.
It happened to all of us.
Yes.
Yeah.
But hope is what brings forth that. But you have to act upon it, and that is your faith with your works.
Exactly.
That's your works. Even when you don't see something, no matter what it is, you have to act on it. I mean, I hope I make that clear, but he's taught me throughout many, 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 many times in my life.
Yeah, most
many
definitely.
Times.
Well, I think a lot of people can relate to that, and especially if you... I don't know, some people, I believe it's probably like a 50-50. There's 50% of people who do that, who are active in their faith and who are out there expressing their faith and praising God and thanking Him even though they're going through a hard time. Mm-hmm. Then there are the people who don't.
Oh, well, there's different circumstances where it's easier to act on that, too.
Right.
Then it is, one circumstance would be easy for you to act that way, and one circumstance would be like, God, I just can't do that.
Right.
But He will bring you through it, and He will teach you, but that's your experience. But yeah, some things is just easier than others.
Most definitely. She also says to be eager with your faith. When we ask God to answer the question or to solve the problem, we need to eagerly await His answer. We need to be serving actively, aggressively, and expectantly. When our hearts are eager to hear from Him, He loves to rush in suddenly with His solution. A lot of people that go through it, and it feels like it hammers them down. And then a lot of people feel like God's forsaken them or He's just left them. And that is a big problem for a lot of people who are,
Yeah.
especially
I've
if
been
you're
there,
having
done
it,
that. Yeah.
especially if you have issues with patience and waiting just in general. And then she goes on to tell us that then all of a sudden in the Bible, Paul and Silas in the book of Acts, they knew about waiting. They waited well. It tells the story in the book of Acts chapter 16 about how they were attacked by a crowd, beaten, and thrown in jail. Verse 24 says that the jailer put them into the inner prison, the dungeon, and fastened their feet to their socks. He was making sure they couldn't escape. But about midnight, God showed up. Now, it would have been nice if he'd come a little earlier, but Paul and Silas did not seem to mind. Could you imagine of all the hell that they went through, being blocked in the dungeon for no reason, but they had actually God, their angel, just showing up and being, like...
Well, yeah, but they were probably like me or you in our circumstances, which
Yeah.
we can relate to,
Yeah.
individual circumstances.
Most definitely.
But you'd be like, where are you, God?
Yeah.
Where are you? Where are you? Where
It's like
are
you
you?
wait,
Where
you
are
wait.
you?
Yeah.
And you get a lot of emotions with that. One minute you're like, oh, okay, I know you're there. The next minute you're like crying. The next minute you're screaming. The next minute you're wanting to cuss.
Yeah.
And you're angry. You're just a lot of emotions. That's why God says not to get into your emotions. But since you're human and you're not perfect yet, you do get into that when you know He can deliver you just like that.
Most definitely,
that
and He did
mess.
on them as well.
Yeah.
But we need to look at them as role models, I guess you would say, because they waited, they knew God was coming, and He literally showed up right in the jail, freed them, and let them out. So the miracles, that's just proof of what God can do. He's able to do.
And He will do it in His perfect timing.
In His perfect time. No matter what, He is always on time. No matter what you're going through, don't worry about it. He will always be there on time.
Even when we don't feel like He's on time. He's always on time.
Most definitely. Psalms 37:3 says, to trust in the Lord and do good. So shalt thou dwell in the land, and verily thou shalt be fed. Delight thyself also in the Lord, and He shall give thee the desires of thine heart. Commit thy way unto the Lord, and trust also in Him, and He shall bring it to pass. So patience, we all need to have patience. God will answer your prayers. He will do what first and foremost, when you're praying, you need to make sure you're praying for the right reason.
Yeah, and y'all need to also say His will be done.
His will be done in Jesus' name.
Because that's how it's going to be done anyway. If you're His child and he will do what's best for you, He promises that, and He'll do it. And no matter what it is, it might not feel like it's the best for you, but at the end of the day, it is the best for you, and He will do that because He loves us that much. We might not think it's the best.
Exactly.
But at the end of it, and you see the final result, you're just like, oh, thank you, Lord, that you've done that. And you didn't hear me. You didn't answer that one prayer I asked for. Because we could be asking for something because of a real mess.
Yeah.
But if we let Him do it,
do His will. You got to pray whatever it is, His will be done, because after you pray that, there's nothing else you can do about it anyway.
And then you're sitting there waiting again.
That's it. But guys, thank you so much for clicking on today's video. Is there anything you'd like to add about patience or anything you'd like to talk about before we let him go?
No, but you all, if you walk with the Lord or know anybody that does, if you ever just sit down and think what you're going through or talk with them, you'll see that it's not easy. But at the end of the day, you got somewhere you're going where, that's where your peace is going to be. When I leave here and I lay down and sleep at night, I know where I'm going.
You know where you're going.
Yeah, just strive to do your best and ask God to have His will in your life and go forward. So,
amen. Well, guys, thank you again so much for clicking on this video. Would like to send a big shout out to all the subscribers and everyone out there. Again, the site that we used for today's video for the research, I will link directly in the description below, so check that out. Well, everybody stay safe, stay healthy, and until next time, spread love, peace, and kindness to everyone around you. Bye, guys.
God bless.
Bye.